ZABAL Games Season 1 is in search of workshop leads. June is the prep month, a library of recorded sessions that gets a whole cohort of first-to-vibe coders ready before the ship a thing this July. If you have built something worth teaching, you have a session to give. Visit ZABALGAMEZ.com, that's ZABAL Games.com, and sign up. What is the ZABAL Games? 3 months, June, July, August. June is prep with ZABAL teachers, vibe coding instructors run recorded sessions on tools, context, and the ecosystem. July is the open build-a-thon. Anyone with the vibe coding harness ships a build for the ZABAL ecosystem publicly. August is the finals, a cohort curated from July. Each builder paired with a ZABAL mentor for the main event, winner reveal.
Awesome. What is up, everybody? We're back for another ZABAL Games workshop with an amazing special guest, TERESA Nakra, but also known for me for my whole life as Mama T. So it's a pleasure to have you on, Mama T. I'm excited for you to go through some awesome stuff you've been learning with AI and music and putting that all together. So do you want to give everyone a little bit of an intro about yourself?
Yes, thank you, Zal. And please forgive me for joining you from my car. Zal knows the backstory here. I'm helping my kid out on their post-graduation week partying time in Ocean City, New Jersey. But so here I am, but I prepped a lesson, and I just want to say that I have known Zal since your first day of life. I actually held you in my arms the day you were born. So got a lot of fond memories. I've been one of the aunties in your life, and I'm just thrilled to pieces to be able to join you here on this amazing journey that you're on. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. It's a pleasure because music has always been something that has been a part of your life that I've seen from different capacities, including you performing at a couple of different points, but I had never thought of myself involved in music as a career or a thing that I was even around much. So it's a pleasure to kind of circle back around, be so heavily now involved with it that we're able to just pop in an awesome lesson that I think will be super valuable, not only for me, but the rest of the community.
Thank you so much for letting me share some of the little tips that I've picked up. It has been my career. I'm a professional educator. I teach at Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New Jersey, and help run a program of 100 music and tech majors and minors, and work with students in many different disciplines. So it's a pleasure to bring that to your way of organizing things. And I think what you're doing is really, really needed. I think finding a way to bring education to to the people who need it and want it, and finding ways to share information is really, really crucial. So thank you. And I have another story to tell, which is that in my grad student years, I was in the 90s, I was a grad student at MIT at the Media Lab. And one of my professors there was one of the pioneers of AI. His name was Marvin Minsky, and he loved music. So the story I want to tell is that Marvin, who was, helped literally invent the field of AI in the 1950s at the famous Dartmouth conference. And he started the AI lab at MIT back in the 1960s. But in the 90s, when I was a grad student, he was hanging around the lab, still interacting with students and enjoying the process of talking with us and helping us realize our dreams. But he would sit down at the piano and improvise on the piano. That was one of his favorite things to do. And what he said was that it was great exercise for the brain and the mind. And he also felt that improvisation itself was one of the keys to human creativity. So he really believed in human creativity and, and improvisation as a way of unlocking one's ability to express oneself through sound.
That's so cool. I think there's so many cool like pieces to that. The whole live streaming journey for me has been a lot of that improv, where in this age and day of emerging AI and content and more things being perfected and perfected, the authenticity and the potential miscues and mishaps that happen in something like live streaming, because there is no, rewind or erase button, is a valuable like improv in and of itself. So it's cool to hear that. One of the things I want to pick back up at some point is playing the piano and getting into it. Every time I see a piano, I play 2 tunes that I have memorized, and that's it. But I always love playing them. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm excited to share a little bit. Let me pull up our agenda for today.
Yeah, I wrote it up. I thought maybe having some actual notes would certainly help keep me in line. So so going from the theme of improvisation and the value of it for our musical imaginations and creativity, I thought I'd introduce Magenta Studio. So for those of you who've been maybe experimenting with AI music tools, a lot of them kind of take a little bit of the driver's seat away from you, right? They provide you with a framework or material that maybe you may not have had as much creative control over it as you might have wanted to, other than perhaps some adjectives, right? And so what the cool thing about Magenta, it was a Google project that was launched a few years ago. The idea of Magenta Studio is that a little bit more of the creative choices and decision making is back in your control. And there are a couple of different apps that they've made. I've written them here. The AI tools: Continue, Groove, Generate, Drumify, and Interpolate. And these are kind of slightly nerdy. They're still a little bit like beta version software. But what's cool about them is you can go in there and actually make choices and edit and use little bits of MIDI material to generate new ideas for yourself, and then kind of make a lot more granular decisions about what the resulting music sounds like. So I can give a little demo. I prepped something for the Continue tool, but you can go and explore all of these. Basically, all you have to do is if you already have Ableton, then you can move to step 2 and download the Magenta plugin from the website that I have listed there. It's totally free. It's a large-ish file, which ends in an .amxd suffix. Let me give you it's only 667 megabytes, so that's nothing, right?
Yeah. In this day and age, right?
Well, and Ableton is also a large download, so apologies. But the good news is Ableton does have a free download for, I think it's 30 days. I forget the exact duration, but you'll get some time out of it. It's also like a gigabyte. So just keep that in mind. But so I'll show you what I can do. And then for those who are interested in following up individually, go ahead and download the free download for Ableton and Magenta plugin, and then you can follow along all on your own. So let me now switch over to my empty, this is my starting place here, my untitled Ableton project. Are you able to see that? I think so. And so basically with a blank Ableton project window, you can import, the way to get started is to import just a little bit of MIDI material, whether it's a song that you downloaded from somewhere, or perhaps you would like to record your own melody, for example. The way to do it is to put your project into arrangement view by clicking on the button in the upper right hand corner, those 3 horizontal lines. That gives you a sort of the horizontal playback view in your project, and then you can drag in or record in whatever MIDI material you want. I'm just, in the interest of time, I've prepped something, so I'm just going to put in a piece of piano music. I'm going to say yes here, which perhaps you may recognize. I won't say what it is. Maybe Zal will recognize it. And go ahead and give your tracks a voice, a sound. So I'm going to go to piano and keys, and let me find something that hopefully will be semi-decent. This is all, I'm just winging this. All right, so I've assigned both track 1 and track 2 to analog piano, and I'll just play it, and hopefully you can hear it. Zal, maybe give me a thumbs up if you can hear the music. Thank you very much. And extra credit for anybody who recognizes the tune. I'll stop it now for a second and see if anybody knows what that is. I know Zal can't talk while I have this playing, but just curious, Zal, if you recognize the tune. We'll have to check in later. All right, I can hear you.
Do you see
you know
that?
what it is?
I knew it from somewhere, but the homie Onaji here got it. I have it up on screen here. He said for Elise, so that's gonna be my final answer. Lock in.
Your homie is correct. It is for Elise by Beethoven. Obviously, a famous piece. A lot of people who were tortured by piano lessons had to learn this piece. So forgive me for bringing a piece of classical music, but I just thought it would be kind of fun. Okay, so now that I have these in Ableton as a clip, I can now go into clips view and then attach the Magenta plugin there. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me make sure I do it right here. So let me go here, and then I have to remind myself how to do it. I guess, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to simplify that. I think I can just pull the Magenta file right in here. And if you can see, it's loading. Hopefully it'll come up right away. Here we are. There it is. Okay, so this is the Magenta tool, and I have it inserted, I believe, on track 1. We'll confirm that. And here are the 5 Magenta features. I'm going to just do the simple one, continue. Now, here's the idea with continue. Whenever you have a piece of material, whether it's melodic or rhythmic, it has a kind of coherence to it that has to do with a self-similarity within the pattern, within the structure. So whether it's a few steps up and a few steps down, or a kind of a shape to the overall trajectory of the notes that gives it a character and identity. That is kind of the core of musical composition, is coming up with patterns of notes that have a kind of a sense making for the listener. And the idea of variation on those patterns is a very powerful one, because if you just simply come up with an idea and then just repeat the hell out of that idea, you rob it of its vitality and its emotional impact. And the constant challenge of a composer or someone making music for the public is to come up with ways to keep your material fresh. And so that idea is called variation. Or, you know, it's a obviously, yeah, simple word. Just, you know, how do you take the material and vary it in a way that it still sounds like itself, but also keeps becoming fresh, you know, keeps refreshing itself. So that's the idea here, is that you're going to select your clip. You're going to identify which portion of the clip you want Magenta to mess around with, and you're going to give it a few parameters. So I'll show you. So if down here in the window at the bottom left, I'm going to click continue. I'm indicating which of the Magenta features I want to use. I'm going to tell it that what I want to do is melodic variation, not rhythmic. And now I want to choose my clip. So I'm going to choose this is the right hand track, the right hand of the piece. And I think the clip should hopefully just be there. Okay, wait a minute. I know what I need to do. Let's see if I can get this done. All right, well, I have the thing prepared just in case for any reason I have trouble doing it. I think I got it. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, good. Now track 1. So what I did was I dragged the track 1 from my previous, the arrangement view back into the clips view. And now I have track 1 accessible here. And now, sorry, let me try to show you, open this back up again. Yep. So now in the bottom left of the window, I have the ability to generate variations on the material that I just inputted. I'm going to select 4 variations, the default, but I could have many more if I wanted. I'm going to decide to use about, I think 16 bars is probably the right number. And the word temperature here refers to how florid of a variation do you want? Like, okay, so like a low temperature would be something that's very similar to the original material, and then a high temperature would be something that's pretty far away from the original material. So I think for now, let's do a temperature of 1.0. Sometimes getting these numbers, these slider numbers correct can have a big impact on the result. So I'm going to go ahead and generate my variations. And that should then insert 4 more clips into track 1, and may take a couple seconds. And hopefully you can, there it is, they've populated in here. And now what you can do if you like is audition the results and decide whether you like what you got. So I'm going to solo track 1. You all know what track 1 sounds like, but I'll play it again really briefly just so you can hear it again. Remember that? Okay, very simple. Now, if I go to basically variations 1 through 4 should start simpler and get more involved. So I'll go ahead, and Zal, if there are any questions, I hope you'll grab my attention. But I'm almost done with the first part of the demo.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to quickly audition. I honestly, sometimes these things fail. It's hard to exactly know, what the result will be, but I can go ahead and listen to the first variation, and we can decide whether it was useful or not. And this part sounds identical. So I'm going to jump to the very end of the original clip, and now here's the variation. And I'll stop there. I want to get Zal's feedback. And Zal,
yeah,
please.
It was definitely interesting, but probably not something that you could use to transition into. So let's maybe try number 2.
Let's try number 2.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see if we got anything good. And I prepped an earlier version that came out. I had to do it a few times to get something that I was happy with. So here's number 2. Whoops. And let me also skip to and here it is. All right. And now here's variation number 2. This one's a little bit, here it is. Well,
better,
certainly
but maybe not.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was better than the first one, but still maybe not what we're looking for. Let's try number 3.
Let's go for it. They may get weirder, Zal, just telling you.
I love it.
Whenever we decide to bail this one, I'll show you the other one. So here's number 3, and I'm going to skip to 129 here. This is where the variation 3 starts. Here we go.
The beginning part of that was pretty good.
Right. So now you say, that's a new take on that melody. What if I just edit out that little bit that I liked and use that as a loop that I can then build a new piece off of, right? And that's where the possibility of AI becomes a creative assistant rather than replacing you.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You're now saying, you're using your judgment, like, I like this, I didn't like that one. Let me cut that part out. Let's take this. We're going to make something new with it, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's not just take something, prompt something, paste something out of it, right? You're taking that output and making decisions off of that, maybe putting it in as another input a few more times, right? And putting it through that processing, whatever that ends up being, going from, all the way, in the past that people have used any kind of automation through technology. It's how you use that tool. So it's always really cool to see how different musicians are using the AI for their benefit. One of the brands that we're working on, Wave Wars, we have an AI music battle tournament that we've been running that are all musicians who are using AI specifically to add on to what they already do. And this one specifically kind of like AI assisted musicians, and they're all participating in this tournament. So that's been really exciting too, to see what the musicians' takes on some of these things are, and hearing a lot more of it.
Great. And I think my teacher, Marvin Minsky, would have said, you know, this is where the good stuff is, right? In kind of querying the process, and then yourself if the thing fits what you're trying to express, right? And that dynamic give and take is exactly what the creative process should be about.
Amazing. I know we had a couple of folks in here. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask. Do you want to try and play number 4?
Sure, let's play number 4, and I can play the other one if you like. I mean,
Amazing.
you know, obviously it starts to get a little repetitive, but you get the idea. If you put in your favorite, you know, bass line, you know, you could take this in lots of different directions. This is just a starting place. Okay, here's number 4. Oops, I gotta skip it. I'm skipping it to the variation. Okay, here we go. I'll stop it there. What do you think, Zal?
I think that was definitely interesting. You could take a couple parts of that and play with it. Do you want to share with us? I know we're not going to run through each of them, but do you want to share with us, that was continue, what the other 4 do at a higher level?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Let's get to that. Let me find that one over here. Let's see. I guess I have to reload the .amxd, so I will do that. Or maybe it's back here under track 1. Looks like I need to reload it. So I'm going to do that. So, oops. Well, let me try it here. So again, I'm putting the Magenta Studio plugin on. Now I'm putting it on track 2, just because it seemed to sort of fall off track 1.
Yeah.
Here it is. So here it's, you know, here are the other features down on the bottom left. It's basically inserted into the track. So per track, you can run these processes. Drumify, if I remember correctly, is if you have beats, you know, if you have a beat pattern that you've created carefully and you want to, you know, jazz it up, change it up, give it some variety, it will generate a few different versions of those beats that are sort of designed to, you know, hit on a beat or a subdivision of a beat. So we can try that if you like. Generate will generate material from whole cloth. Interpolate will combine 2 different ones together to kind of do a kind of a merged version of a couple of things. And Groove, I believe, will take something that's quantized and create something that sounds more human. It has more of a human groove to it. So
that's cool.
So we can try some of that. And if you like, you want to.
Yeah. Do you want to show what you were going to show as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. I have my previous version because I thought it would be interesting to see that when you respin these algorithms, you get different results every time.
Yeah.
And so you might have to roll the dice a few times to get something that you really like. And so don't, you know, if you don't get a good one on the first roll, please don't give up on it. That's, I think, my recommendation. Okay, so I'm going to close this project. I guess I have to close the window, so forgive me for that. Let me open up the one that I prepared earlier, and I'll share my screen. And I'm curious if folks have feedback. It's okay if you hate it. I'm not offended. And I wonder what other AI tools, Zal, that you have been finding good success with while this is loading up.
Yeah, I've honestly been a lot more focused on tools that have been building software with AI, so building code, but from a perspective of using natural language as opposed to a specific coding language. Because if we do and look at natural language as the input that gives the opportunity for a lot more non-technical folks to at least be able to play with and touch the software. So that's kind of where I've been playing with and trying to make easier from just natural language to now how can we add traditional workflows to that natural language so that when and people sometimes refer to AI as it's kind of like a baby and it knows everything, where you have to like
Yeah.
really teach it right to really understand what the context is, the outside perspective, other than just this black box of what it knows. So more of the personalized details. So being able to find that as well as the happy medium with how much of the code that non-technical folk want to do, whether that's none and just copy and paste and add their branding, or copy and paste, add their branding, and now maybe add a feature that's something that they've been wanting to do for a while. So that's kind of where we've been playing, is natural language to software.
Cool. That's wonderful and very needed, right? To get the meaning just right. And obviously, LLMs aren't designed for necessarily with meaning in mind. It's really just strings of words together. So you have to figure out how to make meaning.
Well said.
Xylophone. Well, so this is, I think it's really just the same starting material, just that for Elise again.
Yeah.
But I happened to run it a few times and I got a few variations that I liked. So I'm curious, and I won't be offended if you don't like them. I just thought, since you probably all know that piece pretty well, you can now in your imagination compare it against the versions that you got with various rolls of the dice. So here's another couple more, and I welcome your feedback and thinking about how would you use this, right? Obviously, we're not all going to recompose for Elise. That's silly. But how might we, maybe we have a synth lead in a game score that we're writing that could use a little bit of a variation to keep it sounding fresh on the 30-second loop, right? And how would you do that? And so this is a way of thinking about that, of perhaps automating that, or just giving yourself new ideas that you might not otherwise have thought of. All right, so here is yet another variation. This uses a different sound. It's a chime. I'll stop it there. Zal, what do you think of that one?
So one of the things that I noticed just as a patterns and analytics person versus the other ones, you can kind of just tell based on the waveform that it's less volatile, right? Where like some of most of the previous ones had probably at least double the height of that amplitude of where you are going from and to in pitch between, span of 4 or 8 bars. And I think being able to see that, okay, you're starting at that same place that it's continuing, and that also going up a little bit, right? And everything with that, as opposed to jumping up and down really crazy. So that's the first thing I see.
Right.
It definitely sounds interesting. This is the first time I hadn't heard the for Elise going into it. So now I feel also mixed up, where like, I know it's different, but now I'm like trying to, it's the transition into it that I think helps that. But I'm excited to hear the next variations.
Good. Let's try a couple more. See what you think. I like what you say about musically, we would call that register. So if you look at the bottom horizontal stripe of this Ableton window, you can see that the majority of the notes fit within a 1 to 2 octave range. That's a 2-octave register, right? And you're exactly right that this variation preserves that registration window, and that probably helps with coherence, with a sense of continuity of identity, right? That it certainly helps with that. All right, let's try this next one here, and maybe I'll start with the beginning, okay, and then we'll go to the variation. All right, and here we go. Oh yeah, this one has a super long note for some reason, which is really odd, but I kind of liked it. And then listen to this.
Because it's like an outro.
Yeah. I kind of liked that
Yeah.
as a variation on the original, right? Anyway, I'll stop it there. Bilal, what do you think?
No, that was definitely the best one so far. I like that. The long note was interesting because, like you said, that's not something you traditionally do, but one of the rolls of the dice did that, and it's cool to see how that also works.
Great. Yeah, it's just funny to think about the qualities that get generated when you have a sort of a surprising idea. I think I'll play one more, and then you all get the idea that
Perfect.
there's sort of an infinite amount of variety that's possible
Exactly.
here,
Yeah.
and it's fun to consider which ones you like or don't like. Okay, so here's the last one. I'll skip. All right. Getting further and further away, but it got that little melody.
Yeah,
At the top,
it definitely
right?
seems more like the melody as opposed to many of the other ones.
Yeah. There's
That's
something
very
about the
cool.
identity of that melody that's preserved here. Yeah. So anyway, there's a little idea, and I like the Magenta plugins. So I hope that people won't be afraid to try them, and knowing that they're free, at least would give you a chance to maybe download and experiment with some of them. And I'd love to hear from you. Feel free. I'd be happy to share my email address if anyone finds anything that they're super excited about.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it. I'll make sure to add your link in the description. So if anyone wants to reach out to Mama T, they can right there. And I'm excited. I think one of the days in July when I'm playing with code and music, I will download and pull up Ableton and try it out after kind of, sharing this video again as well. So thank you so much for coming on. Do you want to share anything else? Any last thoughts as we're getting off?
I think I'll just say that I admire what you're doing here, and I think that creating a sense of community and a creative community in particular is really, really valuable, Zal. I'm so proud of you. I think this is so right on, and just let me know how I can help support you going forward. I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Everyone who popped in, thanks for coming in, and cheers.